Alright, so the Percy Jackson series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, has arrived on Disney Plus with its first two episodes, and I gotta say, I was really impressed about what I saw, and I really liked the characters and the story, and even with the development at bringing this all to life in a series which is now technically a reboot, and I felt it lead more into the lore of Percy Jackson and discovering who he is, and even with all that as well. And so, this will be my official review for the series. Obviously, no spoilers. Talk about what I thought, and even with my impressions, and for what I think that this show has potentially moving forward as well. And so, if you're new, then be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And so, let's just hop into it. And now, going into the show, and even with the movie that came out a decade ago that was hated on by everyone because they decided to not follow the source material onto Percy Jackson and its story, but I feel like with this reboot, that was definitely a good call. It's because they want to do the characters right, and they want to follow its source material right. And I feel like that's exactly what the show did. They fully told the story of Percy Jackson, and they followed the books, and they even followed the story of the demigods, and especially with the three gods, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. And I really liked how it told the story properly, and to spend more time with the characters and with their stories. And I feel like the characters are really developed right, and I feel like, and even with Camp Half-Blood that is in here, I feel like they did a very good job of setting this show up, and they really did follow the source material right, and to making sure that this is a good show. And I was really impressed by it, and I just really liked everything about it. And now, with the main premise of this series, that this is mostly like following the events of the first book, why it's called the Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief. And this is where the Percy who was accused of stealing the lightning bolt from Zeus and needs to return it to him, and even with everything that's standing in his way, and has to go and stop it and try to figure out who he is. And I feel like this is exactly what the show did. I really liked how it led more into the story, but I feel like with everything that we saw from the movie and even going into the show, I thought it was way better than the actual movie itself. And even with the show, I took more time with these characters, and even with the story, I just realized that this was a very good show from the start, and ever since they announced it, and they cast all these great actors to play these characters. Now, I want to talk about, most importantly, Walker Scobell's performance as Percy Jackson, and even ever since we saw him in the Adam Project, and ever since he was announced to play Percy Jackson, I feel like this was the right kid for this role, and I feel like with everything that he brought and portrayed for this character, like I feel like he did a phenomenal job. And even with Scobell himself has said that he has read the books, and I feel like with everything that he brought to the character and what he brought to the show and for how the story is told, I feel like he did an awesome job, and I hope he continues on a good path of moving forward. And I'm like striving for this, and I'm just really excited for what this show has moving forward, and with everything that like Percy Jackson is in the books and even in the show, it is definitely told right. Even out of the first two episodes I've watched of the show, and I realized that like with the first episode that was really good, and the second one was like amazing, and even with the perspective of Camp Half-Blood that is adapted in the show, and how it's really adapted from its material from the books into the show, it has good potential to be it, and even with the characters that are definitely developed right, and I just like the story that it is definitely told. I feel like with the dialogue and even with the importance of that we should know about the show, is that this is really about, Percy Jackson, the discovering of who he is, and even that like in the material that he is the son of Poseidon, and this is told exactly how I thought it would be. And I just really like the rest of the characters, including for Grover and Annabeth, and even with the controversy thing that's going on right now. But I feel like they did a brilliant job of picking these actors to play these characters, and because in the material, like these characters are actually teenagers, and in the movie they were adults, but now I feel like they lead into the story perfectly. Like they chose like the right actors to play these characters to be actual teenagers, and I just loved it. And the fact that this is a TV series and this is only going to be 8 episodes long, and I feel like this has potential to be a very good show, because even with the movies that were hated on, and now that this is a full-on reboot, and with the characters and its storyline, I feel like it was a really good tone, and I just really liked how it started and how it ended and how it sets up for even more along the way. And this is basically telling the story of the first book. Like I said, it's 8 episodes long, and I feel like there's a lot more to look forward to in the first 2 episodes, and I feel like this has potential to be a very good show moving forward. And even with Rick Riordan, who is the author of the series, was very much involved in the making of the show, and with every creative decision that he made going in the show, which is technically a reboot, and I gotta applaud it to him for making all this possible, to tell a unique story from the author's perspective, and to tell the story about the characters and the story properly. And I feel like he did a very good job at bringing this all to life, and I feel like he did a good job, and I just really love everything that he adapted. And on top of with the character development, I thought it was told so good, and even from the books, and I just liked everything. And even with the chemistry, especially between Percy, his mom, and even with Grover and Annabeth, and even with the rest of the characters that Percy interacts with, it's told through a very awesome perspective. Of like discovering the story of Percy Jackson. I just really liked all the characters, and that they're developed well, and I think they did a good job of bringing these characters to life in the book that Rick Riordan created, and I just really loved it. So for my final thoughts, I enjoyed the first 2 episodes of the Percy Jackson series, and I enjoyed the show, and this show has so much potential moving forward, and we have like 8 episodes in the show, and for whatever the show wants to be moving forward, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the characters and the story perspective, and I just can't wait for more. And so that is going to be it for this video, and just let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments down below, and what your thoughts on the first 2 episodes of the Percy Jackson series, and are you looking forward to more moving forward, especially after you watch them. And give me a rating of 1 out of 10. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn on notifications about future videos, and also follow my social, which are linked down below. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.